If it's undercovered, underreported, or a waste of time, you can be sure we'll be heard. Nothing is off limits.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris with my good friend Joseph R.R.R. Reinier. I wanted to make you seem like Tolkien. Or who's the guy that wrote Game of Thrones poorly?
I don't know. I didn't watch it, so no spoilers, please.
You never saw Game of Thrones?
I've never seen it.
I've seen the first four seasons.
HBO Max right now.
I've watched the first four seasons over and over again because once it hits the fifth season, I can't pay attention anymore.
Do I have to watch it even if I don't want to?
You want a summary?
Don't care. No spoilers.
No spoilers at all.
I know there was a woman and she killed somebody, and then there was like a dragon or something.
That was the summary. There's 3 dragons. Okay. That's actually the whole summary.
Okay.
We should do a whole show of just summaries like that.
There you go.
Dumb and Dumber. 2 dumb guys in a van. 4 stars.
Is this like a dragon tribunal? If there's a legal aspect, I may be very...
I told you I didn't finish watching the show, so I don't know if there's any law aspect to it.
Okay, gotcha.
But I will say there are dragons, some dogs.
Nudity.
Nude dogs. You know what, Nate? That was a brilliant way to segue into what we're talking about. Deshaun Watson and his grabby hands.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. You're a Cleveland Browns fan and apologist, right?
I am. Both of those things.
So when you come out of your shame cave this year,
doubtful.
How are you going to feel about this? Deshaun Watson settled 23 cases.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
3 more pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've read the most recent allegation, but I will tell you exactly what it was.
I don't read.
You don't read?
No.
Oh, it sounded like you said you don't rape. Because he definitely does.
He does.
As a lawyer, as a father, as a man who used to wrestle men, how do you feel about your team has this guy leading the charge? Do you feel good about that?
I just need... Again, like I asked before, what's his QBR? That's where we're going to that. I need to know the touchdown interception ratio.
Let's say he throws 35 touchdowns, 4 picks, and throws for 5,500 yards. Do you care?
What is the massage to accusation ratio? Because I think
right
that's
now,
important too.
Here's the number I can't understand.
Okay.
There are 66 total women that put their phalanges on or in him.
Okay.
Do you think that's a lot?
It seems like a
for
lot.
For a 26-year-old man?
It seems like a lot. But I had heard, I was talking with some other people about that. That's only like 3 a week, though. So I don't know. If you break it down to that, it's only like 3 massage therapists per. Well, I mean, you can. You know,
my shoulder hurts right now, and Nate keeps trying to like massage my thigh. It's not making me feel better. I mean, a little bit, but it's not taking the pain from my shoulder.
Have you played professional football? I mean, knee can hurt. Your other knee can hurt. Your other knee can hurt.
Where do you find the time? Where do you find the time is my question. Let's say that's 66 times.
Yes.
Let's say you get it over in 5-10 minutes. I can get it over in 2 minutes, ladies.
Right.
Just whisper in my ear. But
time is money.
Where between team activities, I think he has a girlfriend or a wife. Where do you fit it in? Sorry, I want to rephrase that. Not where do you put it in. How do you fit it in your schedule?
How do you fit in your schedule? I got it. It's a great question. What I love that came out yesterday, basically the Texans were sort of providing him with non-disclosure agreements, which is I think is very typical of getting a massage. I mean, I sign one every time I go get a haircut. I mean, non-disclosure agreements, that sounds pretty normal. They probably didn't know anything was going on.
Can you imagine if somebody gives you that? Hey, before you go in that room, I need you to sign that you won't talk about what's in that room. What's in that room would be my question.
Yes. So it will be an interesting summer and fall, how this kind of all plays out and whether there's a suspension. I wish they would have just stayed away from him. Obviously, they didn't. They, not to bring much attention to it, they just gave him the largest contract in the history of the world. And
that part stuns me.
But I don't really see how this can go wrong, actually. I mean, it seems like he put out a statement that all is good. And this morning I should have looked at it on my phone because it was a very concise statement on one of the Twitter spheres or something about that he's innocent and nobody's going to talk this stuff about him and et cetera. So I think it's really going to get cleared up. I think it's much ado about nothing.
And they have a great track record with quarterbacks, right?
They do. They have a great. In fact, their track record is so great. They actually have 2 great quarterbacks on the roster at the same time.
Are you talking about Jacoby Brissett?
Yes.
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 Do you think that it's weird that Cleveland? We're going to get back to rapey, touchy fingering in a minute, but do you think it's odd that at the end of a quarterback's career in Cleveland, like when they're done, whether it's Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Baker, I'm trying to name 1,000 other quarterbacks, even if they've had a decent run, it always ends poorly. Like they can't wait to trash them on their way out.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Don't forget Mike Pagel. I mean, that was ugly.
I'm still upset about Otto Graham.
Yeah,
the guy can't get on the field. Now he's dead, but you still should be honoring the guy. Put him in the lineup.
And he only had like 4 massages
over
like a 10-year career.
Think about let's think about Dick Butkus.
Yes,
just the name, and then let's move on to Too Tall Jones. Do you think if in the 70s he's like, I need 60 people to massage me, he would be in prison? They would be like, what is going on in here that you're constantly getting rubbed on?
Wasn't that just what Magic Johnson was doing in the elevator? I mean, it was just, time is money. You're going up a few flights. You need a dozen or so massages on the way up. And
how tall is this building? Yeah, Magic Johnson said he was with 11 women in an elevator. You would have to go up. You'd have to be in like the Tower Records building or something.
Is that what that emergency button's for? I've never pushed it, but is that?
I think we're thinking too much about this thing going up and down, or him. That's how you get AIDS. I'm sorry, HIV. Let's clarify.
That was a fun day, wasn't it? Is that kind of one of the Kennedy assassination or 9/11? The day you heard that Magic Johnson.
Where were you when you heard that?
I'll tell you exactly where I was. I was on the practice football field at Grove City High School when they used to have a football team. And I think we were practicing for the playoffs because it was November. And when we had a team, they used to go to the playoffs. Do you remember this?
I remember going to those games and being very drunk in the stands, but I remember being there.
And I remember staying on the sidelines and hiding behind several other players so I wouldn't be picked for the scout team and get ran over by players twice my size.
Wait, what year was it? Would Lou have been in school at this time?
I think that was the.
This is 92. Wait,
it would be the 91. It'd be the 91 football season. We played Piqua for the second.
So time. I think Lou would have been there. So the guy that we're describing is a good friend of mine, and it would be like Earl Campbell being in high school.
Yes.
And Joe, you probably weighed conservatively 155, 165 pounds in high school
at the time. Yes.
And this guy was like, it would be like a truck running you over and then stomping your soul. And that's just when he was going half speed, correct?
Well, that's assuming I got within 10 feet of him, but yes.
Well, he's the 11th ranked prospect in the history of Ohio State. Now, it didn't work out at Ohio State, but when you look at the recruiting history, he's there. And he had gotten hurt in high school and then got hurt in college again and all that. Right. But that's what you're up against. So I want people to understand when you're trying to duck people, it's not you're trying to duck somebody that's 5'8", 150 pounds. You're trying to tackle like night train lane.
Yes, I think I was actually trying to stay warm too because it was freezing. So we were all huddled, and the Magic Johnson is HIV positive
at a time when we thought that meant you were going to die.
Oh yeah, like okay, well, that's it for Magic, and I think he's still around, right? He even did a talk show.
He won't go away.
He won't go away.
First of all, remember when Magic Johnson had a talk show? And then it was so bad that Howard Stern was making fun of it all the time.
Right, yes.
And then Howard Stern went on the show, and it got the highest ratings it ever got. So they reran that 4 different times to avoid cancellation. And it was like 4 weeks in a row they aired it. I just remember those days where it's like, I thought Magic was going to die because you know who was involved in AIDS? Anthony Fauci. He gave everyone AIDS. That's actually a headline. The man who gave us AIDS. It had Fauci's picture. Yes. He's not gotten anything wrong since then. Thank God.
Yes.
But when you look at that time period, that was when, again, I said this on the previous show, it was like the end of innocence if you were a kid where you saw that these were real people.
Right.
And now we know too much about them to the point where it's kind of it's hard to watch sports because now I'm like, wasn't he dating a Kardashian and that's why he's 4 for 17 in the in this game or whatever? I hate it. I wish we can go back to the way it was.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, dating the Kardashians. I think it's half the NBA at this point. But
Who hasn't been in there?
I don't know.
Honestly.
One Night in Paris, that sort of thing.
What a fantastic movie. Hold on.
is a
Let me ask somebody who went to
fantastic
film school. Nate, One Night in Paris. What's up with the lighting in there? Why is it all that green and all that? Why couldn't they get some lights like we have in here?
I don't know.
See what I mean? The guy's
perfect.
clutch.
Yes.
He always gives you an answer. It's
think
not the
he's-
answer you ever want.
Googling right now about the lighting in One Night in Paris.
He's watching it on his phone and he's like, God, the quality here. And what are you doing? Are you slapping a seal? Anyway,
Anyway,
when I see this Deshaun Watson thing pop up, to me, as a Bears fan, I think about it this way. I'd rather be 4-13 now because we're playing 17 games than to have somebody like that on my team. And I'm not like the moral compass, but I mean, I will definitely sleep with your wife. Joe knows. But when I see that, I think, could I pull for that if that team won? It's like what Pittsburgh went through when Roethlisberger went through all that.
right.
Like they had to kind of defend it, but like they bleed yellow and gold. And you're kind of that way with the Browns, right?
Right. And first of all, I love how, as a Bears fan, when they went to 17 games, you didn't go from 4-12 to 5-12. You went from
No.
4-12 to 4-13.
I'm not sure that they can. I'm not sure they can win
amazing.
4. I don't think they can win 4.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what dreamland you're in right now, but okay, 4 games, sure, Michael. But yes, so obviously as Browns fans, we ripped Pittsburgh and Roethlisberger, not on the field, just on the Twitterverse.
In the bathroom.
In the bathroom, yes. I mean, there's a lot of, I think there are a lot of legitimate consensual relations that happen in the men's room at Rackham's. I mean, so I can't believe that.
Do you know how many children were
Anyone-
born from people meeting at Rackham's, which is
Right.
now a defunct bar? It's gone now, right?
It's gone.
It was a Grove City.
was a
It would be like having a
staple.
bar inside of a warehouse with there's no
Right.
reason for people to be there, and somehow they started a relationship on the dance floor that ends by the time last call happens.
So literally, our friend's family opens it like the year we're all turning 21.
Yes.
I mean that was the business
knew-
model.
they knew their demographic.
Yes, they knew the demographic, and I think those gatherings are still being held. They're just not at they're not at Rackham's, but. Yeah, so we had Roethlisberger, and now with this guy, I mean, I really seriously talked to a lot of Browns fans that are, yeah, gee, I'm not really gonna, I'm not sure I'm gonna be waving the flag this year for the Browns because they should have just avoided him. There were other options out there. Avoided the guy, kind of let's.
Why do you
let's see
give
what
him all that
happens here.
money, though? Why do you give him the biggest contract? That's the part that doesn't make sense because
does
they
not.
know. Here's the phrase that was said by his attorney, Rusty Harden. Can there be a better
Right.
porn name than Rusty Harden?
Right.
Who was also Brett Favre's attorney when Brett Favre was flashing his hoo-hoo dilly at a girl on the cell phone. So he's used to these kind of cases. He says on the radio, there's nothing illegal about a happy ending. And I thought he meant the end of Scrubs. That show was amazing. What he meant was there's nothing wrong with firing pellets on some woman if she gave you a massage. So then I read the 26th Accuser's account where he made direct eye contact with her, said, "Where do you want it?" and then shot upon her. What the fuck is wrong with you? Not you personally. I know
Well,
you do that all the time, but do you see what I'm saying? He's so used to doing it, he expects it, and now his attorney, before this article came out, got out ahead of the thing and said, "There's nothing wrong with that."
Yeah, that's
Is
quite
that a defense?
That's quite a defense. That's quite a defense there.
Because I'm going to use it.
That yes, use that. Where do you want it? Which is actually
Nate, we need a T-shirt. It just needs
Where
to
do
be
you want
Brown's colors. And where do you want it?
Nate's actually wearing that T-shirt right now and asked me that before the show.
I don't
That's
wear
why,
brown
that's
shirts.
why he brought you the Dr. Zevia.
Dr.
something to drink.
Zevia.
I just think that, I don't know. I look at things completely different. And I think this guy's so depraved. If he wasn't a great football player, when he gets out of playing football, he's going to do something stupid. He's going to be accused of a rape or something like that. Because these guys do this so many times. and they get absolved of it until the league doesn't need you anymore.
Well, I mean, his behavior is the definition of crass. Not that we know anything about that.
Nope, not on this show. It's not in personal life.
So again, you kind of hit your wagon to this guy, and where do you want it? I mean, that's amazing.
I had to read that.
What were the answers?
I don't think. First of all, I'm trying to think. If you're in that moment, you're probably not really waiting for more than one answer,
right?
And where was she?
Well, how far away was she?
Actually, she was 30 feet away, and he had to shoot her through a barrel.
Okay, so his accuracy is noted.
No, but he stood
his
up.
arm strength.
He
I heard
stood
he has
up
a hose
in front of her, so apparently she worked out the kinks in his legs.
Right.
And then that's the part, that line, where do you want it? Meaning he knew what he was doing. He's making a choice. And now this woman who didn't sign up for this.
Right.
I'm not gonna say that she is completely not involved in this thing. I'm just saying that wasn't what was expected. But when you do this that many times, that is at some point that's got to be a crime. 1 in 26 has got to be a crime.
Well, and there were 66 massages, right? Or 66
total females.
Yes.
26 total cases that were filed. And then I think there's more coming.
And I know a month or so ago, there was in the civil case that they were ordering him to take the depositions, or they were actually taking the statements of the women that did not accuse him of anything inappropriate, but said there was consensual behavior. And it was somewhat basic, but kind of brilliant on the part of the plaintiff's attorneys, the women's attorneys, to show a pattern of conduct that, whether or not ultimately the woman complied with or agreed with the where do you want it, that was his intent to be there every single time. And so, to your point, there were probably 20 some times where the woman did not want it in a particular place. I need the T-shirt. We need the T-shirt immediately.
A T-shirt would sell.
Where do you want it?
Where do you want it?
Where do you want it?
The thing that I was thinking is I can't hear very well on my right ear. So say some person didn't hear it. Where do you want it? Huh? And then you just hear that splidge. That's all I was thinking is if you're not expecting it anyway.
And now you can't hear out of your left ear.
Right.
So that's...
Now I got a drizzle in my nizzle. And I think
this is something about Mary. You got the hair just right.
I'm in the town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass. Yes. I don't know. When I read that story, it seems like every day there's another crime. These are crimes to me. And it's like, but it's okay. I can't imagine getting out in front of, say, 12,000 fans at a Bears game or 60,000 at a real NFL team stadium, and people hurling insults or things about your personal life. I think you have to be somewhat narcissistic to think that that's not going to affect you.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he's cashing the checks, and you mentioned the contract earlier. I'm kind of curious if there are any clauses in there regarding if he's
there's got to be a
moral clause in there, and whether it's based upon civil suits or certainly criminal prosecution, that they wouldn't have an out because that $230 million check. I mean, it's a pretty big check to write. I'm thinking the Browns just cut those checks right to the 20-some women. I mean, just put in the memo line, the Deshaun thing.
Yeah.
Here's $100K.
Put this where you want it.
Right.
In the bank.
Where do you want this? Which bank do you want this?
Can I ask you this question because you are an attorney of some note, at least in this room? If I come to you, I'm Deshaun Watson, and I say, look, I need a little defense here. Mm-hmm. How much do I have to tell you? Because at some point you have to decide if you're going to take the case, right?
Sure.
You don't have to take it. But it's how much do I have to divulge to you so you know what you're up against? So let's say he says, I did nothing wrong. However, I stuck my fist in a girl's mouth 300 or 400 times. Okay. At what point do you have to go, shit, I can't defend you from that?
Well, I mean, if it's Deshaun Watson, I assume he's rating a decent retainer check. So I just throw all my morals out the window at that point, and ethics. But
that is true.
That is true. Just like you having me on the show with the check.
Oh, I've thrown all compassion or hope of ever being anything away for sure.
Yeah. So this, they would have certainly had those conversations, and those conversations were privileged, of course. so long as the client doesn't give false information on the record. But yeah, when he's talking about the where do you want it and the fist in the mouth and or wherever it may be, or massaging
any orifice. We're not just picking one.
Yeah, massage knee 1, knee 2, knee 3.
Yeah,
whatever it may be. It's very interesting. I can't wait for the rest of the facts here to come out, and then watch him, I don't know, throw a touchdown and like 3 interceptions against the Steelers, because that's what's going to happen. That we'll get the absolute worst of all worlds. All the money, all the losses, all the notoriety. That's the Browns.
All I know is when Warren Moon, who was one of my favorite players to watch, was accused of hitting his wife.
Yes. Not over the middle.
No. Well, she couldn't run a slant, so he had to wait till she posted up, bang, and he hit her once from what was said. He had to give a whole press conference, and he was treated like the dude in the Green Mile.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, he can't play here anymore. We got to get him out of town. Now it's like, if you haven't beat up 3 or 4 hookers on your way to the stadium, you're not worth a shit.
Well, again, it's that narcissism. It's that presumption that they have that they can do anything. And really, that takes me back to the Roethlisberger thing and my thoughts on it, when most of that activity was in his mid-20s. And so he's out there. He's obviously...
It's the same age, though.
It's the same
26 for each.
Yeah.
26 years old for each one.
Right. So they're kind of, they're untouchable. They're indestructible. And, yeah, I'm going to conduct myself in risky behavior in the Rackham's, which wasn't actually Rackham's. It might have been. It might have been Rackham's. Or it might have been Time Zone or something. I don't know. But in the restroom with women and think, okay.
That's both.
Even if it is consensual, what am I risking here for, this coming back? And so when he's asking 26 women, what was the quote?
Where do you want it?
Where do you want it, Michael? Yeah, it only takes
Could you
1 or
not
2 or
say
26.
my name after that? That was super awkward. Nate could cut that one part of the show and just
where do you want it, Michael?
Where do you want it, Michael? That's very lotion in the basket.
It's very lotion in the basket. Yes,
that's probably what started. They had lotion. Well, I just thought it was a weird thing, and again, as I don't talk to a lot of people about sports because I can't stand it when they go off the rails about how much they love Ohio State or about. What I want to hear is in the culture. Like, how do you feel about it? Because if your kids were in Brown, like, I'm picturing there's going to be a lot of little kids that want Deshaun Watson jerseys just because he's a popular NFL player. I think that's going to be a really weird stigma attached to that.
Yeah, it's definitely a bridge too far. I mean, he hasn't played a game yet, obviously. And how many will he be suspended for this year? Some are even saying maybe the whole season, and that may happen.
You know how they got around that? They paid him $1 million for the entire year.
Nice.
This year. So if he gets suspended.
For last year?
No.
Okay.
It's just this year.
Oh, okay.
Because the Browns are counting on him not to play anyway.
Right.
That's why they signed Jacoby Brissett, and Baker's still sitting there. They don't care if they win this year. It is for the next 9 years, basically.
Right.
So wipe out this entire year, which I think would make you more pissed off if you're a Browns fan. Like, okay, you took all these chances and all that, and then you're just going to wait 2 years as though it's going to go away.
Well, it's not frustrating at all as a Browns fan, because they've had everything else in place for the last 2 or 3 years.
They've had so many championships since the 1950s.
Yeah, they've had all these. The defense has kind of been terrible, but they've had all these other offensive players the last 3 or 4 years and just don't have a quarterback. Now we have another offensive. Did I enunciate that right? Offensive player. You
have the most offensive player in the league.
But yeah, as far as like the jerseys go, look, if the game's on, he's throwing a touchdown, I'm going to be like, I'm going to excuse myself, and I'll probably do a little happy dance because I'll be so thrilled at that point because my team's winning. That's really a big part of my identity, and I need that. But yeah, wearing a jersey, I'm not turning any of my 4 Phil Dawson jerseys. Number 4 Phil Dawson jerseys into
that guy's the best Phil Dawson that's ever played.
He's amazing. So I'm not going to change any of those over to the D-Dub. But yeah, I think I already know a lot of Browns fans that they're not down with this. So although I think the T-shirt would sell. I think
we should just do a show and it's just all about T-shirts.
Yes.
T-shirt slogans, 7 hours long. Do it every day.
Where do you want this?
That's a good place to end on. You've been listening to Broad Street Radio. Where do you want this?